Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Good day, everyone. Today, we will discuss about the measures of relative position. May we ask your cooperation and attention towards the report as we go along the discussion. I am Glenda Celeres po, teacher from Libertad Elementary School, Uson North District, taking up Masters in Education. Measures of relative position. Statisticians often talk about the position of a value relative to other values in a set of observations. The most common measures of position are standard scores, aka z-scores, quartiles, percentiles, and deciles. A standard score indicates how many standard deviations an element is from the mean. Quartiles divide a rank order data set into 4 equal parts. The values that divide each part are called the first, second, and third quartiles, and they are denoted by Q1, Q2, and Q3 respectively. The values that divide a rank-ordered set of elements into 100 equal parts are called percentiles, and the values which divide an array into 10 equal parts are called deciles. The one type of the measures of relative position is the z-scores. And at the end of the session, we'll be able to learn the meaning of the standard scores of the relative position of a measurement and how to compute using the given formula. A z-score measures the distance between an observation and the mean, measured in units of standard deviations. Here is the given formula for z-scores. We have z-scores equals value minus mean over or divided by standard deviations. Nasa baba po ay makikita natin yung symbols. Kung ano yung symbols ng value, mean, and standard deviations. Here is naman po is the interpretations ng answers. If the z-score is positive, the positive score is above the mean. If the z-score is 0, the score is the same as the mean. And if the z-score naman po is negative, the score is below the mean. Here are some examples of how to solve the z-scores. Okay, an IQ test has a mean of 105 and a standard deviation of 20. Find the corresponding z-scores for each IQ. When we are solving a problem, we are asking for what are given. So, we have already the mean, which is 105, and with a standard deviation of 20. So, letter A. As we begin to solve the problem, given na din po yung value. So, we have 88. So, as we solve, we have z-scores equals 88 minus 105 divided by 20. The answer po is negative 0.85. So, ibig sabihin po, the z-score is below the mean. Kasi po, di ba sa interpretation kanina, if the z-score is negative, meaning the z-score is below the mean. Letter B. The given value is 122. So let us solve. Z equals 122 minus 105 divided by 20. The answer is 0.85. So dahil po siya ay positive, ibig sabihin, the score is above the mean. Next is letter C. Ang value naman po na given is 110. Z equals 110 minus 105 divided by 20. The Z score is 0.25. Same sa letter B, it is also positive. So it is above the mean. Number 2 example. Which of the following exam grades has a better relative position? Okay, here is po the given data. A grade of 43 on an algebra test is mean equals 40 and standard deviation of 3. Or a grade of 75 on geometry with a mean of 72 and a standard deviation of 5. So, consistent po tayo sa formula na gagamitin natin, which is the formula of z-scores. Alamin natin if which exam grades has a better relative position using also the given data. Okay. For a grade of 43, Z equals 43 minus 40 divided by 3. The answer is 1. Yun po ay sa grade of 43. How about naman po for a grade of 75? Okay. Z equals 75 minus 72 equals divided by 5. The answer is 0.6. Okay. Alin sa dalawa yung may pinakamataas na relative position? Yung 43 ba or yung 75? Okay. Siyempre, nakikita natin na ang may pinakamataas na relative position or the result of the z-score is yung may grade na 43. Okay, since the score for the algebra test is larger, the position in the algebra test is higher than the position in the geometry test. Another example. A consumer group tested a sample of 100 light bulbs. It found that the mean life expectancy of the bulbs was 842 hours, with a standard deviation of 90. One particular light bulb from the Dura-Bright company had a z-score of 1.2. So what was the lifespan on this light bulb? So, sa problem natin ngayon, ay given na po yung z-score, which is 1.2. The mean is 842. And also given na din po yung standard deviation, which is 90. So our problem statement is the lifespan of the light bulb from Dura-Bright company. Yung value po yung hahanapin natin. So, the given data of z-score is 1.2. Therefore, 1.2 equals x minus 842 divided by 90. So, paano po naging 108 yung nasa pwesto ng z-score? Ang ginawa ko po ay multiply 1.2 sa 90, kaya po 108. So, cross multiplication. So, 108 equals x minus 842. So, ang susunod po natin gagawin ay using transposition. How? Ililipat natin yung x sa left side pag nakaharap po tayo sa board. So, we have x equals negative 108. So, maging negative na po siya dahil gin-transpose po natin. So, x equals negative 108 minus 842. So, alam naman po natin ang rules ng integers when it comes to subtractions, multiplications, and additions, then yung negative and positive signs. So, we have the value of x, which is 950. So, the light bulb had a lifespan of 950 hours. Yun po yung lifespan ng light bulb from the Durabright Company.
Hello everyone, I am Arian Tenorio Mulimbayan, your discussant for the topic Quartiles of Ungrouped and Grouped Data. Let's first discuss quartiles of ungrouped data. And our learning targets for this topic are illustrate quartile of ungrouped data and compute for quartiles of ungrouped data. Let's define first quartiles. Quartiles are the square points which divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. Let's say, this is our distribution, yung apat na yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na first quartile or lower quartile. Tapos, yung pangalawa ay yung median or middle score, kalahati ng ating distribution. Then the last quartile is the third quartile or the upper quartile. So we have 3 quartiles in our distribution or our data. For me to show you clearly, sa quartile 1, 25% of the data has a value of it, meaning 1/4 of our data ay nasa first quartile. And the 50% or ang kalahati ng ating distribution ay pasok sa ating quartile 2 or median. And third quartile or upper quartile has the value of 75% of our data. And the difference between quartile 3 and quartile 1, or kung ima-minus natin ang nakuha natin sa third quartile sa first quartile, ay tinatawag natin itong interquartile range. Now let's have some examples. There are 2 ways in computing quartiles of ungrouped data. First is using the Mendenhall and Sinchich method and the linear interpolation. Let's first talk our first method. Let's say the given numbers or digits are the scholastic grades in mathematics of the randomly selected grade 6 pupils. So we have 82, 85, 90, 81, 79, 89, 94, 95, 97, 85, 83, and 90. And the first thing to do is to arrange the data in ascending order or mababa pataas. So, ayan na. Ang pinakamababa natin is 79 and the highest grade is 97. And in order for us not to be confused, let us put numbers below those grades. Step 2, find its position using the formula. That's our formula in using the Mendenhall and Sinchich method. Position of quartile K is equal to K over 4 times the sum of n and 1. We can say that our K in the formula is either 1, 2, or 3. Or yung quartile 1, 2, and 3 natin. Yung n is the number of elements in a given data or yung total number ng mga sample grades na binigay natin plus 1. Let's say yung kinukuha natin is on first quartile. So, ibig sabihin, ang K natin doon ay 1 kasi po first quartile yung ating kukunin. Over 4, which is constant, times natin sa n plus 1. Yung n natin is 12 kasi meron tayong 12 na sample grades plus 1 is 13. Then 13 times 1/4 or gawin natin tong decimal. Magiging 0.25 times 13 and the answer is 3.25. And that's the position of our quartile 1 or ibig sabihin nasa third element ang ating quartile 1. Now, let's look for our third element sa sample grades natin or data. And that is 82. Yung third element po natin is 82. So, meaning to say, our quartile 1 is 82. And 25% of the students have a grade in mathematics of less than or equal to 82. Let's now proceed to our second quartile. And since second quartile, our K here is 2. Kaya 2/4 or simply 1/2. And our N is 12. Diba remember? Kasi po meron tayong 12 sample grades. Kaya 12 po ang ating N. So 12 plus 1 is equal to 13. Ang 1/2 ay gagawin nating decimal. So 0.5 times 13 and the answer is 6.5. Kaya ang ating quartile 2 is the average of the 6th and the 7th element. Nasa gitna siya ng 6th and the 7th element kasi 6.5. Tingnan natin ngayon ang ating 6th and 7th element. We have 85 and 89. Kukunin muna natin ang average nila and we will add 85 and 89. Then divide 2 and the answer is 87. Kaya ang ating quartile 2 is 87. Meaning, 50% of the pupils have a grade in mathematics of less than or equal to 87. Next naman po nating isolve ay ang third quartile. So, our K here is 3. 3 na kasi third quartile na tayo. So, 3/4 times n plus 1. Our n is 12, kaya magiging ganyan na po yung itsura. Pakitingnan na lang po sa ating PowerPoint presentation. I-convert naman natin sa decimal ang 3/4. So that is 0.75 times 13. And the position of quartile 3 is 9.75. Or nasa 9th element ang ating third quartile. So, what's the 9th element? 90. Di po ba? Nakikita natin. Kaya, our third quartile is 90 or 75% of the students have a grade in mathematics of less than or equal to 90. And that's all for our first method of solving quartiles, the Mendenhall and Sinchich method. The second method is by using the linear interpolation, using the same given scholastic grades in mathematics of the randomly selected grade 6 pupils. So, ganun pa rin po yung ginamit natin kanina. And we'll arrange the data or elements in ascending order mula sa baba pataas, and let's put numbers again para di tayo malito and for us to identify our elements easily. Katulad lang din po nung kaninang ginawa natin sa first method natin. And our step 2 is find the position of its quartile. Gagamitin pa rin natin yung nakuha natin sa ating formula kanina po using our first method. And here's what we've got. The position of quartile 1 is 3.25. Therefore, quartile 1 is between the second and third elements. Our second quartile is 6.5. So, ang gagamitin nating elements ay between 6th and 7th elements. And since position of quartile 3 is 9.75, therefore quartile 3 is between the 9th and 10th elements. Those positions of quartiles na ipinakita po natin are really important in solving quartiles using the linear interpolation and are important also for our next step, which is to interpolate to obtain the value of first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile. Let's have first quartile. The position of our first quartile is 3.25 between second and third elements. So, yung 81 and 82 po ang magiging reference natin. And these are now the steps that we're going to do for linear interpolation. First, subtract the second element to the third element. So, we have 82 minus 81 equals 1. And second, the decimal part. Remember po that our first quartile is 25% of our distribution, kaya 0.25 po ang kanyang decimal part. Our third step is to multiply the decimal part and the result in number 1. So the result of number 1 is 1, kaya 0.25 times 1 is equal to 0.25. And the last step, add the result to the smaller value. Our elements, the second and third elements na ginagamit ay ang 81 or ang second element ang may smaller value. Kaya 81 plus 0.25 is equal to 81.25. So therefore, our quartile 1 is 81.25. So medyo malapit naman po siya kanina dun sa nakuha natin using Mendenhall and Sinchich method. Next, second quartile. The position of our second quartile is 6.5 between 6th and 7th element. So yun, ang 6th element natin ay 85 at ang ating 7th element ay 89 at isusubtract natin yun. So 89 minus 85, the answer is 4. And the second is the decimal part. Ang ating second quartile po ay 50%, kaya 0.5 ang kanyang decimal part. Then, multiply the decimal part and the result in number 1. So, 0.5 times 4, which is the result of the first step. That is 2. And add the result to the smaller value. Sa dalawang elements na ginamit natin, ang 6th element ay ang may smaller value 85 plus 2 equals 87. So therefore, quartile 2 is 87. Pareho po kaninang resulta gamit yung ating first method. Next, our third quartile, ipapakita pa rin po natin kahit pareho lang naman po sila ng steps. The position of our third quartile is 9.75 between 9th and 10th element. So first, subtract the 9th element to the 10th element. We have 94 minus 90. The answer is 4. And the decimal part is 0.75. Imumultiply natin yan doon sa resulta ng first step. So, 0.75 times 4, the answer is 3. And then, that 3 ay i-add po natin sa element na may smaller value, which is the 9th element, 90. So, 90 plus 3 is equal to 93. Therefore, our quartile 3 is 93. So, hindi rin naman po siya masyadong malayo dun sa kaninang nakuha natin using our first method. Kaya nga po, lagi pong pinapaalala sa atin na this method sometimes but not always produce the same results. At this moment, let's have quartiles of grouped data. So we have our learning targets for that topic. Illustrate quartile of grouped data and compute for quartiles of grouped data. Now, how are we going to solve quartile of grouped data? So with that, we will have our formula where LB is the lower boundary of the QK class, N is the total frequency, and CFB is the cumulative frequency of the class before the QK class. And FQK is the frequency of the QK class, and I is the size of the class interval, and K is the nth quartile, where N is 1, 2, and 3. Yung K po natin ay hanggang 3 lang because there are only 3 quartiles. Di po ba? And how are we going to find all of those? So let me show you by using our examples. First, let's find out our first quartile and third quartile of the mathematics test scores of 50 pupils. So on our table, we could see the scores and frequency. 50 to 54, isa lang yung nakakuha. 45 to 49, tatlo, and so on. Here's now the solution. Add one column for the less than cumulative frequency. On our table, makikita po natin yung scores na ipinakita po kanina and yung frequency. We also have another column for less than cumulative frequency and lower boundary. Now, how can we get cumulative or less than cumulative frequency? So, mag-start po tayo dito sa pinakababa, sa bottom. 2, ilalagay lang po natin dito, yung 2 sa cumulative frequency column po. And para makuha po natin yung kasunod, we will add 2 sa ating 6 na frequency. So, 6 plus 2 equals 8. Yung 8, i-add naman natin sa 10. 10 plus 8 equals 18. 18 plus 8 equals 26. 26 i-add sa 12. So, 12 plus 26, 38. 38 i-add sa 8. 8 plus 38 equals 46. And yung 46 i-add natin sa 3. 3 plus 46, that is 49, and 49 ay i-add po natin sa 1. So, 1 plus 49 is equal to 50. And since our N po is 50, dapat 50 din po yung ating less than cumulative frequency, yung sa pinaka-taas. So, ganun lang po siya. Okay po? And our interval naman is 5. Bakit 5? Kasi 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. So, 5 po yung interval. And lower boundary. Dito po tayo sa column ng lower boundary. Paano po natin siya makukuha? Subtract 0.5 from the lower limits. Yung lower limits po na tinatawag ay yung scores po. Yung naunang score dito na ipinakita natin. So, 50 minus 0.5 equals 49.5. 45 minus 0.5 equals 44.5. Basta yung sa lower boundary, para makuha po natin, we should subtract 0.5 sa ating lower limits. So, ganun lang po yun. Ano po? Since nakuha na po natin yung ating cumulative frequency and our lower boundary at yung iba pa, pupunta na po tayo sa step 1, which is to find the position of the Q or quartile 1 class using the formula Kn over 4. So, 1, kasi 1 po siya kasi first quartile, and ang ating N is 50, that's why 1 times 50 over 4 is equal to 12.5. So, in this 12.5 will be our reference on what to choose from our data. And we could see also that this means we need to find the class interval where the 12.5th score is contained. So, we're going to look under less than cumulative frequency column. So, dito po tayo titingin sa less than cumulative column. Makikita po natin yung 12.5 ay hindi po pwede sa baba ditong sa 8. kasi mababa siya sa 12.5. Dito naman po sa 26, hindi rin po siya pwede kasi masyado rin siyang mataas sa 12.5. Samantalang dito sa 18, pasok yung 12.5. Kaya naman po, ito yung pipiliin nating class, yung 25 to 29 scores. So, yung result po ng ating step 1 will be our references or our values in our formula. So, our LB or ating lower boundary ay 24.5. Tingin po tayo sa LB column. And our CFB or our cumulative frequency below, hindi po yung 80 na nakuha po natin, kundi yung nasa baba niya, which is 8. So, mag-ingat po dito kasi kadalasan yan po yung namamali. Remember, our cumulative frequency below ay hindi po yung nakukuha natin, kundi yung nasa baba po. And our frequency is 10 and interval, aram po natin yan na that is 5 kasi yung sa scores natin, tingnan po natin 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So, 5 po yung interval. Since alam na po natin yung mga values na kailangan po natin, we will proceed now to step 3, which is to substitute to the formula. And here's now our formula. Ang ating kinukuha po ay quartile 1, kaya naman ang ating K ay 1 equals to our LB, which is 24.5 plus, ito po yung nasa loob ng parenthesis, mag-ingat po tayo dito. Ano po? 12.5. Saan po natin kinuha ito? Ito po yung ating KN over 4. Nakuha na po natin ito kanina. We are just going to recall it. Minus 8 over 10 at i-times din po natin sa ating interval na 5. Always remember po, para hindi tayo magkamali, lagi po nating unahin yung nasa loob ng parenthesis para hindi po magkamali. Okay? So, ang ating quartile 1 after solving is now 26.75. So, again, ang ating quartile 1 is 26.75, meaning 25% of the pupils got a score less than or equal to 26.75. Kailangan din po nating makuha ang ating quartile 3. So, first step, ganun pa rin po, find the position of the quartile 3 class using the formula Kn over 4. So, ang ating K is 3 dahil quartile 3 po ang ating kinukuha. And our N is 50, that's why 3 times 50 over 4 is equal to 37.5. And this means we need to find the class interval where the 37.5th score is contained. Let's look po under the less than cumulative frequency column. So, hindi siya pwede dito sa 26 sa baba kasi masyadong mababa. Hindi pasok ang 37.5. Dito naman sa 46, masyado rin siyang mataas. So, dito po siya pasok sa 38. Kaya ito po ang ating pipiliin na class or class interval. Okay? And again po, our step 2 is to find the given of the following terms, yung LB, NI, CFB, and F. So, our LB or lower boundary is 34.5. Makikita po natin sa ating column. Our cumulative frequency below, remember po, hindi po yung napili natin, kung hindi po yung nasa baba ng ating napili, which is 26. And our frequency is 12. And our interval is 5. Kasi 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. At lagi po nating tatandaan ang mga yon kasi we will use those values in our next step. And our next step is to substitute to the formula. So, QK, yung K natin is 3 kasi quartile 3 po yung kinukuha natin is equal to LB, which is 34.5 plus yung nasa close and open parenthesis. Yung KN over 4 po natin ay yun po yung nakuha natin kanina, which is 37.5 minus 26 ang ating cumulative frequency below over 12 ang ating frequency, times po natin sa ating interval, which is 5. Ang sinasabi po natin kanina na lagi po nating uunahin ang nasa loob ng parenthesis. And after solving, makikita po natin ang ating quartile 3 is 39.29. And now, for our last step, which is the interpretation. Again, our quartile 3 is 39.29. So, meaning, 75% of the pupils got a score less than or equal to 39.29. And that would be all for the quartiles of ungrouped and grouped data. Thank you so much po.
Good day, everyone. This is Howell A. Atega, currently teaching at Rizal Elementary School, Dimasalang District. My topic is all about percentile. What is percentile? A percentile is the 99 scores which divide the data into 100 equal parts. It is a term used in statistics to express how a score compares to other scores in the same set. While there is technically no standard definition of percentile, it's typically communicated as the percentage of values that fall below a particular value in a set of data scores. It is a position measures and often use P symbol with a small number. The values which divide an array into 100 equal parts are called percentiles. The first percentile, denoted like this. The second percentile, the third percentile, and up to 99 percentile. The 25th percentile, or the P25, corresponds to the first quartile. And the 50th percentile, or the P50, corresponds to the median. And the 75th percentile, or the P75, corresponds to the third quartile. Calculation for ungrouped data. The percentile from ungrouped data could be calculated from the following formulae. P is equal to n plus 1 over 100. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, nilagyan ng TH. So, after the P symbol, and TH naman before the n plus 1. So, inilagay ko na lang po yan para po medyo mas madali po natin malaman o mas madali natin mailagay, ma-substitute ang percentile na hinahanap bago natin mahanap ang kasagutan. So, kaya may TH yan. So, kung ang hinahanap ay second percentile, no, from the data or from the given data. So, ang formula ay magiging ganito. So, P2 or the second percentile is equal to 2 times n plus 1 over 100. So, kung ang hinahanap naman ay 99 or the 99 percentile, so ganito na rin ang formula. So, P99 or the 99 percentile is equal to 99 times n plus 1 over 100. So, nakadepende po yung number o yung small number after the symbol P sa percentile na hinahanap. So, kung ang hinahanap ay 30th percentile, so ang formula ay magiging P30 is equal to 30 times n plus 1 over 100. So, itong formula po na ipinakita ko sa inyo ay ito po yung mas madali para makuha kaagad ang percentile. So, wag na po nating pahirapan ang ating mga sarili. Kaya, ito ang pinili ko na formula. Meron po tayong example para ma-practice natin using the formula na itinuro ko kanina. We will calculate 15th, 37th, and 64th percentile from the following array. The data set has been arranged in ascending order from the top left corner to the bottom right one. We have 20, 20, 29, 30, 36, 37, 39, 42, 53, 54, 55, 58, 61, 67, 68, 70, 74, 81, 82, and 93. So we are going to use the formula. First, calculate 15 percentile from the following array. We are going to use the formula or this formula because we are going to calculate 15 percentile. So P15 is equal to 15 times n plus 1 over 100. Next, 15, then substitute the value of n, which is 20, plus 1 over 100. Then add 20 plus 1, the answer is 21. Then we are going to multiply 15 sa 21, the answer is 315. So 315 divided by 100, the answer is 3.15. So ibig sabihin, ang 15 percentile based sa given data ay nasa 3.15 item sa 20 items na meron tayo dito from 20 to 93. What is the third item? The third item is 29. And the fourth item is 30. So, the value of the third item is 29. And that of the fourth item is 30. Thus, the 15th percentile is 0.15 item the way between 29 and 30, which will be calculated as P15 equal 29 plus 0.15. So, yung 29, ito yung third item. Then, we will add the 15 or the 0.15 para malaman natin kung ano ang nasa 15th percentile. So, the answer or the final answer is 29.15. So, ang 15th percentile based sa data na meron tayo ay 29.15. Next, calculate 37th percentile from the given data. The formula is P37 is equal to 37 times n plus 1 over 100. Next, substitute the value of n, which is 20. 37 times 20 plus 1, So, ang uunahin muna natin ay yung nasa loob ng parentheses. So, 20 plus 1, the answer is 21. So, multiply 37 times 21, 777. So, 777 divided by 100, 7.77. So, ibig sabihin, ang 37th percentile ay nasa 7th item onwards. The value of 7th item is 39. And the value of 8th item is 42. Thus, the 37th percentile is 0.77 of the way between 39 and 42, which will be calculated as 39 plus 3 times 0.77. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, saan nanggaling itong 3? So, itong 3 dito, bago ang 0.77, ito po ang distance from 39, which is the 7th item, and the 8th item, which is 42. So, i-subtract lang po natin. 39 or 39, isusubtract natin ang 39 sa 42, which is 3 is the answer. So, para malaman na natin kung ano ang 37th percentile, i-multiply natin ang 3 times 0.77. The answer is 2.31. So, i-add na natin ang 39 plus 2.31 para malaman na natin na makuha na natin ang 37th percentile based sa data na meron tayo. So, the answer is 41.31. So, the 37th percentile of this data is 41.31. The last example para sa ungroup data, calculate 64th percentile from the same given data. So, we are going to use this formula. P64 is equal to 64 times n plus 1 over 100. Then substitute the value of n, which is 20. Then add 20 plus 1. The answer is 21. Then we are going to multiply 64 sa 21. 64 times 21, the answer is 1,344. 1,344 divided by 100, the answer is 13.44. So, ibig sabihin, ang 64th percentile, base sa data na meron tayo ay nasa 13th item onwards. So, alamin muna natin kung ano ang 13th item. Nang sa ganun ay malaman natin kung ano ang 64th percentile. The value of the 13th item is 61. And that of the 14th item is 67. Thus, the 64th percentile is 0.44 of the way between 61 and 67. Since the difference between 61 and 67 is 6, so 64th percentile will be calculated as 61 plus 6 times 0.44. Then, multiply. So, i-multiply natin ang 6 sa 0.44. The product is 2.64. So, 61 plus 2.64 63.64. So the 64th percentile, no, from this data is 63.64. Percentiles can also be calculated for grouped data, which is done with the help of the following formulae. First, P1 equal L plus W over F times N over 100 minus less than cumulative. Next, P2 equals L plus W over F times 2N over 100 minus less than cumulative. So, kung mapapansin nyo, parang same lang din siya doon sa ungrouped data, which is gumagamit naman dito tayo sa formula ng small number after the P symbol. Okay, so ito naman ay, siya naman ang nagre-represent kung ano naman ang hinahanap. So dito, kasi P2, ibig sabihin ang second percentile naman dito ang hinahanap. Calculation for grouped data. Ganon din sa 99 percentile. So, palagi nating pakatatandaan ang mga formula na ipinakita ko sa inyo. Alamin naman natin ang mga ibig sabihin ng symbols doon sa formula. L is the lower boundary of the class containing the 35th percentile or 99 percentile. For example, the class corresponding to the cumulative frequency in which 35n over 100 or 99n over 100 lies. W is the class interval size of the class containing 35th percentile or 99th percentile. F is the frequency of the class containing 35th percentile or 99th percentile. The N is the number of values or the total frequency. The less than C is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the class containing 35th percentile or 99th percentile. Meron tayong halimbawa. Calculate 37th and 45th percentile from the frequency distribution of weights of 120 students using this table. Dahil group data ito, so lahat ay given na. So ang gagawin na lang natin ay magsusolve. Simulan na natin ang pag-solve. Calculate 37th percentile from the frequency distribution of weights of 120 students using this table and this formula. Dahil 37th percentile ang hinahanap, so ito na ang magiging formula na ating gagamitin. So alamin muna natin ang value ng L, W, F, then N, and the less than cumulative frequency. So hindi natin malalaman kung hindi tayo babase sa kung ano ang hinahanap. So dahil 37th percentile ang hinahanap, so ibig sabihin titingin muna tayo dito sa cumulative frequency kung saan medyo mas malapit si 37. So dahil si 37 ay malapit sa 50, so dito muna tayo magbigay focus. So weight 140 hanggang 149 pounds at may frequency na 28 at may lower boundary naman na 139.5. At ang value ng C or the less than cumulative frequency ay 22 dahil siya ang less than cumulative frequency ng 50. At ang N naman ay ang total number of frequency which is 120. 20. So, ano naman ang value ng W? So, ang W, ang class interval size. So, ang class interval size o ang weight interval size ay 10. No? From 140 to 149. Then, ang frequency ay 28. So, madali na natin mai-substitute. So, kaya magiging ganito na ang kinalabasan. So, ang susunod na gagawin na dahil na-substitute na siya, i-multiply na kaagad natin ang nasa loob ng parentheses. So, 37 times 120, pagkatapos ay i-divide natin sa 100. So, the answer is 44.4. So, sa 44.4, isusubtract natin ang 22, which is the value of our less than cumulative. So, ang sagot ay 22.4. Ang sunod naman ay i-divide natin ang 10 sa 28. Ang sagot ay 0.357. Ang 0.357 ay i-multiply naman natin sa 22.4. Ang sagot ay 7.996. I-add naman natin ang 139.5 at saka yung 7.996. Ang sagot naman ay 147.496. So, the 37th percentile from the frequency distribution of weights of 120 students is 147.5 pounds. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, naka-round off siya into the nearest hundredths. At ang sunod naman natin na i-calculate ay ang 45th percentile from the frequency distribution of weights of 120 students. So, ganun din po ang formula na gagamitin natin dahil 45th ang hahanapin. So, magiging ganito na. So, ganun din ang pag-solve. No, kagaya ng example na pinakita ko sa inyo kanina. So, the 45th percentile from the frequency distribution of weights of 120 students ay 151.1 pounds. At doon po nagtatapos ang aking discussion. Once again, thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Mary Rose T. Arreglo and I am tasked to report the decile. Let us learn what is decile. A decile is a quantitative method of splitting up a set of ranked data into 10 equally large subsections. A decile rank arranges the data in order from lowest to highest and is done on a scale of 1 to 10, where each successive number corresponds to an increase of 10 percentage points. This type of data ranking is performed as part of many academic and statistical studies in the finance and economics fields. So let us understand what is a decile. In descriptive statistics, a decile is used to categorize large data sets from the highest to lowest values or vice versa. It could be highest to lowest or lowest to highest values. Like the quartile and the percentile, a decile is a form of a quantile that divides a set of observations into samples that are easier to analyze and measure. So, by tenth, you're going to split the data, categorize the data by tenth. That is decile. How to calculate a decile? There is one way of calculating a decile. However, it is important that you are consistent with whatever formula you decide to use to calculate a decile. One simple calculation of a decile is D1 is equal to the value of n plus 1 over 10 theta. D2 is equal to the value of 2 times n plus 1 over 10th theta. D3 is equal to the value of 3 times n plus 1 over 10th theta, and D9 is equal to the value of 9 times n plus 1 over 10th theta. From this formula, it is given that the fifth decile is the median, since 5 times n plus 1 over 10 is the data point that represents the halfway point of the distribution. Because when we see decile, it is the distribution of the data by 10. You are going to distribute the data by 10. Let's take the use of deciles in finance and economics. Deciles are used in the investment field to assess the performance of a portfolio or a group of mutual funds. The decile ranked acts as a comparative number that measures the performance of an asset against similar assets. For example, say an analyst is evaluating the performance of a set of mutual funds over time. A mutual fund that is ranked 5 on a decile scale of 1 to 10 means it's in the top 50%. By splitting the mutual funds into deciles, the analyst can review the best and worst performing mutual funds for a given time period, arranged from the smallest to highest average return on investment. The government also uses deciles to determine the level of income inequality in the country. That is, how income is distributed. For example, if the top 20 wage earners of a country of 50,000 citizens fall in the 10th decile and earn more than 50% of the total income in the country, one can conclude that there is a very high degree of income inequality in that country. In this case, the government can introduce measures to decrease the wage gap, such as increasing the income tax of the rich and creating state taxes to limit how much wealth can be passed on to beneficiaries as an inheritance. Using the simple calculation formula presented a while ago from previous slide, we can calculate the decile of the ungrouped data from the given data in the table. That is, D1 is equal to the value of n plus 1 over 10. From the given data in the table, we will substitute the value of n from the number of takers, which is 30. So you will get D1 is equal to 30 plus 1 over 10. Same goes to the other decile. So, let's take the first decile, which is equivalent to the value of n plus 1 over 10th data. So, let's take the value of n as 30. D1 is equal to the value of 30 plus 1 over 10th data. You will get the value of 3.1st data, which is 0.1 of the way between scores 55 and 57, which is equal to 55 plus 2 times 0.1 equal to 55.2, which is your first decile. D1 means that 10% of the data set falls below 55.2. Let us have the third decile. D3 is equal to the value of 3 times 30 plus 1 over 10. So you will get 30 plus 1 times 3 over 10, the value of 9.3, which means D3 is equal to the value of 9.3 position, which means that it is 0.3 between the scores of 65 and 66. Thus, D3 is equal to 65 plus 1 times 0.3 is equal to 65.3, which means 30% of the 30 scores in the observation fall below 65.3. So now, what would we get if we were to calculate the fifth decile? Also remember that the fifth decile is our median. So you will have D5 is equal to the value of 5 times 30 plus 1 over 10. D5 is equal to the value of 15.5 position or 15.5, halfway between scores 76 and 78, which means that 50% of the scores fall below 77. Also, notice how the fifth decile is also the median of the observation. Looking at the data set in the table, the median, which is the middle data point of any given set of numbers, can be calculated as 76 plus 78 over 2 is equal to 77, equal to median, which is equal to D5. At this point, half of the scores lie above and below the distribution. So, that's it for decile. Hope you enjoy and you understand our discussion. Thank you.